The effect and impact that social realism has as a subgenre is to communicate a message which informs the viewer about social issues and inequalities. A very good example of a film tackling social issues, specifically racism and bigotry, would be Alan Clarke's 1982 film Made in Britain. The film stars a very young Tim Roth as Trevor, a teenage skinhead that is caught vandalising a Pakistani shop. He is sent to an assessment centre by a social worker. Trevor is discovered to be quite intelligent. However, he decides one night to go on a rampage with his friend across town. Can he still be saved?
You're protecting me from the dishonest buggers, aren't you?
At the time when Made in Britain was made, there was much unrest and hatred in society. The far right were on the rise, or as they were known as at the time, the National Front. They used images such as the skinhead and the St George's flag as symbols of hate towards communities in the UK such as Pakistani, Caribbean and West African who originally migrated to the UK between the 1950s and 60s. They would enter neighbourhoods that had many people of these heritages and throw bricks and stones through the windows at minorities who lived in the houses. They would also vandalise corner shops that were run by East Asian people, mainly people from Pakistan and India. This was a very scary time to be in Britain. There weren't many filmmakers wanting to show the social issue through the medium of film. However, in 1982, director Alan Clarke, who at the time was known for his controversial film Scum, was willing to challenge the issue in his featured for television Made in Britain. Made in Britain was one of 4 films that were written by David Leland for a series of TV feature-length dramas called Tales Out of School. This series included Birth of a Nation, which starred Jim Broadbent, Rhino, or R-H-I-N-O, and Flying into the Wind. These films set out to show the injustices and social issues that were, and still are in some cases, prevalent in society. Made in Britain did just that and showed an excellent deconstruction of racism and bigotry. The commissioners said at the time that films like Made in Britain should not be made. It was as if their mentality was that if we don't make films or talk about it, therefore it isn't real. This was Margaret Thatcher's way of silencing the critics of society.
Do what we tell you. Think what we tell you, say what we tell you, squawk, be a fucking parrot. I hate you for putting me in here.
Alan Clarke would go on to direct another film about bigotry called The Firm in 1988. The film spawned another A-list actor's career, that being Gary Oldman. This was one of Alan's last films before he sadly passed away in 1990. He should be remembered as an important filmmaker who kick-started many actors' careers such as Ray Winston, Gary Oldman, and in this case, Tim Roth. Made in Britain paved the way in British social realism and opened a conversation on far-right extremism in the UK. However, could my feelings differ to how the film is received? Let's get into my review of Made in Britain. Made in Britain is a fantastic piece of British independent cinema. I love the soundtrack that is used. I'm a huge fan of the punk scene and I love the rebellious nature of it. This is used to show how much Trevor thinks of authority and how much he loves to simply do wrong. The film is a perfect character study and deconstruction of someone who is a racist and self-destructive. We would see more films like this, such as Tony Kaye's American History X from 1998 and Shane Meadows' This Is England from 2006, both showing the evils and destructive nature of racism and bigotry. Tim Roth gives an outstanding performance as Trevor, a racist skinhead who holds no regrets and is completely ruthless. He blames the system for his views on race and where his place is in society. He criticises how the school system treated him and how the system treats him in general. I can relate to this, but only to an extent. When he is in the isolation room, he then starts blaming immigrants from places such as Pakistan and the Caribbean. He is a total criminal and complete thug in how he behaves towards society, such as smashing windows of houses and corner shops that were owned by people of ethnic minorities.
Work hard, do well, get a job, otherwise you're no good, you're a vandal. That's what I learned, it's a lot of bollocks, lies.
He is very intimidating through what he says about the immigration populace in the UK. It is very much in the same vein as what someone like Adolf Hitler or Idi Amin would explicitly say. When he is in the assessment centre, he is like a wild animal scratching and attacking his cage, dying to come out and wreak havoc. He befriends and uses one of the other boys in the assessment centre as an enabler to enact his wrongs on society. His friend is of West Indian heritage, but he's nearly just as racist, rebellious and bigoted as Trevor. You think that Trevor wouldn't want to associate himself with him, but Trevor does use and manipulate him. One night, they go on a rampage across town after defecating and urinating on their files at the assessment centre. They throw bricks through windows of houses belonging to Asians and scream all kinds of racial abuse at them. These scenes show the audience how much of a monster and tyrant Trevor is.
Get your hands off your cock. This one's got a little bit too much to say for himself, little fucker.
The people at the assessment centre try to help him, but he does not comply. Instead, he pushes them away and goes on about how the system has failed him. But he doesn't do himself any favours by causing havoc across town, such as smashing windows and stealing cars. He then tries to get a job, but retaliates in anger when he doesn't get his own way. In reality, it is his own fault for not staying in school and gaining any qualifications. He tries to make it out that he's the victim of the system and everyone should pity him, when really, he is a total narcissist and just wants to cause chaos because he has been brainwashed, assumably by a far-right faction, most likely the National Front.
Can you flush the toilet? I've done a crap.
He tries to intimidate everyone above him. However, this only goes so far. When he's been detained in the police station, he tries to show the officers that he is not intimidated by them. However, one strike from a police baton and Trevor is on the floor in shock. He is so used to being top dog, but when he is put in his place, he feels threatened and intimidated. Punishment does not work on Trevor at all, as when the police officers leave his cell, the expression on his face shows that he hasn't learnt anything. This shows that Trevor will never learn from his wrongdoings.
I'm turning myself into you, Harry. As you're my mate, you can collect the reward.
Overall, I think this film is damn near excellent. I don't have many criticisms about the film apart from the quality of the film itself. It was shot on standard definition videotape, so the quality of how it was shot feels very rough. I can't really fault it apart from that. The film shows not just an amazing deconstruction of racism, it exhibits an amazing performance from Tim Roth. You can really tell that he was going to make it big after this film. I always remember him for his performances in Quentin Tarantino's Reservoir Dogs from 1992 and Pulp Fiction from 1994. The film is an amazing slice of British social realism and I urge people who are studying film to check it out.
Sounds great.
Thanks for watching, please like and subscribe, please tell me your thoughts on Made in Britain, and of course, I will see you next time.